Actions were taken. What the hell is it telling me here? The stream is gone. Is the stream live? Let me just check this very quickly. Is the stream live or is the stream not live? We are live. That is cool. So let's get to this again. My name is Steve Smith. This is the Voice Britannia Twitch channel. Although it's not called the Voice Britannia Twitch channel anymore because I've renamed it to the Broke Britannia channel because people won't think it was people prefer broken things to things that are the voice of Britain, apparently. So, I mean, why not? I've did it. It's done. But that's just gravy, baby. I'm not here to talk about branding. I'm not here to talk about our Twitch channel or the YouTube channel, which of course you should be subscribed to both. Well, follow, subscribe, whatever one's free. Do that one. Don't spend money. Just do it for free. If you've got money, you can spend it on something else. I mean, I'll do something. I don't know, but for now, just use your free shit. Get free shit. This is free. This is free content. That's my plug. It's free. But regardless of the price of this, I am here for one reason and one reason only today, and it is to review this week's AEW Dynamite. So, I was going to briefly talk about the pay-per-view first of all, but is there a point? Like, if I start talking about the pay-per-view on Saturday, that is the Revolution pay-per-view, I will go on tangent and we will probably it would probably take this podcast in about 2 hours, so we're not going to go over that today. We will talk briefly about the explosion. I mean, what is there to say? like really, what can I add to that? The barbed wire match was amazing. Like, seriously, right? When it comes to death matches, I have watched hundreds, maybe thousands of death matches. I went through a phase where I was like a total death match fanatic. I have seen classics. I've seen people getting stabbed in the arms with Stanley knives. I've seen people like Drake Wirtz, for instance. I've seen so much like there's so much mental stuff that's happened in death matches. Like, for instance, the NXT referee, QAnon guy, Drake Wirtz. There's a match where he gets a big scoop taken out his chest with a light tube. Like, that happened. That was insane. But we're not here to talk about that. So, yeah, the barbed wire match, in my opinion, it was one of the best barbed wire matches I have ever seen. Like, it was great. Now, the exploding bomb bit, we have to just separate that. That happened after the match. I mean, the dud bomb happened like 5 minutes after the match. So, the way I see it, it's two different sects. It's the match and the post-match bit. The match was great. Post-match was like, meh. It was not very good. The bomb didn't go off. People were made to look a bit silly. That said, does Eddie Kingston still look silly? Does Moxley still look silly? We're going to find out today, because this episode of Dynamite, this week's Dynamite was their chance to save what happened on the pay-per-view. And I mean, we'll get to that. The title says that. The title of the stream says right there, did Eddie Kingston save the bomb angle? And we're going to get to that in just a second. As you can see on the screen there, because I've already pressed the image button apparently, the show started with Matt Jackson versus Phoenix. Now, I watched this 8 o'clock this morning. I was half asleep. To be honest, I'm still half asleep now. And what a match this was. Like, there are opening matches, and then there are opening matches. And by God, was this good. This was literally the first thing I saw today after the intro to AEW, of course, and it just blew me away. There's so much in this match. There's like too much to go into in this. It's like, whenever you've got Phoenix in a match, it is hard to write everything that happens because he just does so much. And not only does he do so much, but he does it all like flawlessly. And I mean, a classic example of his flawlessness, there was like a spot in the match where he missed it or he jumped wrong, but he still did it. And it was like, how did you do that? Like, he defied gravity. It's hard to explain. In my opinion, right now, as we speak, as this show has happened, well, as we exist in this bubble of time, Phoenix is the best in the world. Like, hands down. He's just bloody amazing. His work is amazing. His work rate is amazing. His selling is fucking outstanding. And just the way he tells a story in the match is just great. Like, it's just really, really good. It gets into that realm where I find it hard to describe, like, why he's good. It's when you get into that realm where words can't describe it. You just know, you're like, that's fucking awesome. So much so that I'm swearing already. And we're only like 2 minutes into this, so we're off to a good start. There was all sorts of stuff in this, though. I mean, as I said, it's impossible to write about it in full, but we had rope runs, we had springboards, there was a step out Hurricanrana, like, Matt Jackson was on the outside, on the floor, and Phoenix just, like, I don't know if this will make sense to you, right? Sami Zayn and El Generico, they both do this. The way they enter the ring is they step on the bottom rope and they step under the middle rope and, like, step through it and pop through. Right? And it looks really cool. If you go and watch Sami Zayn getting into the ring, or El Generico, and a few other people do it, Aspen Faith in ICW, he does it as well. They all do that entrance into the ring. It's really freaking cool, right? Phoenix used that to go out of the ring into a Hurricanrana. Like, I can't even. It blows my mind that this is a possible thing. As you can hear by my struggling to verbalize how I'm feeling on this. I could not believe when I seen it. I was like, what how did you do that? Like, what? It was brilliant. During the match, right? So I think one of the stories that we're getting at the moment, or one of the stories we've got incoming, I mean, obviously, we've got the angle with Phoenix and Pac. They have a title shot. They're due a title shot over the Bucks in the future. We don't know when this is going to happen. We just know it's going to happen soon, right? Now, concurrently, SCU have managed to get themselves up to the top ranked spot in the tag team rankings. Now, this is... I see a small problem with this angle, and it's like, the problem I've got with it is that I'm just not invested in it in the slightest, right? Now, Kaz and Daniels are awesome. They're a great team. And the problem with this angle, that they're like, the angle's set up, but the problem is it's all been set up on Dark, right? So on Dark at the moment, SCU, which is just Chris Daniels and Kaz now, they have this angle running at the moment where the next time they lose a match, they have to separate as a team, and that's the end of SCU. So it's like every match could be their last. It's that Ric Flair storyline. It's a storyline that can work. It really can work. We've seen it work in the past. Like the Ric Flair angle, for instance, just great. And then, but the problem with this is it's all happened on Dark. Now, it's great if you're someone that watches Dark, because then you know the story's happening. But if you don't watch Dark, then you've got no idea what's happening here. The camera's just went on SCU, and you're being told that they're the top ranked team. That's a bit of an issue. Now, talking about the actual angle with Daniels and Kaz that's happening on Dark at the moment, it is just something I am not clicking with, right? Every match they are in on Dark, in at the moment, which, as I said, they're all happening on Dark. It could be their last. But they're happening on Dark. Like, Dark is recorded, and there's like little to no crowd there, so there's no responses, there's no real... I mean, you can get an atmosphere. I enjoy watching Dark. Some people don't like it because there's not a crowd. Sometimes it is a good show. I like watching it. But for angles like this, they just do not work in that atmosphere. So, like, there is absolutely no heat to this angle, which is just... It's a shame. It is a real shame, actually. So, I mean, they've been working on Dark. They've been building themselves up to the top-ranked team. But there's no heat with it. You know what I mean? 'Cause there's no crowd. There's no build-up. There's no atmosphere. There's nothing that's like... It's hard to get into it, you know. And now we're being told that, well, they've managed to win so much matches on Dark that they're the top ranked team. So we're being told that we're going to get a Young Bucks versus SCU match in the future. Now, to me, that seems like that would be the last SCU match, that the Bucks would beat them, they'll retire. And again, my only problem with this is that it's all happened on Dark. And I just feel like the lack of drama, the lack of atmosphere, everything's fed into it, just not clicking with me, you know. And I think it's a shame, because the fact is, the match with the Kaz and Daniels versus the Young Bucks is going to be outstanding. It will be a brilliant match. But at the moment, I'm just not that into it. You know, maybe they can start building this match up on Dynamite. You know, like, maybe have, over the next month, Kaz and Daniels winning 3 or 4 matches on Dynamite. That could get things going well, because you've got the crowd in Dynamite, you can build the heat, you've got the TV, you can build drama and stuff like that. So that might be a good way, and that's maybe where they're going to go. And I mean, we don't know. This is the first show after a pay-per-view, right? these shows could be seen as a reset. This has just started off a lot of new stuff, right? So this is the start of something new. So I think we should give it time. I think while the SCU story doesn't have that much heat, they do have a lot of time to build a really good story up, to build the heat up, and to get us invested. So that's cool. Back to the match tonight. Now, the finish to this match came out of nowhere, I felt, but it was not unexpected. You know, it came out of nowhere, but you didn't not expect it. It's a weird thing to say, I know. It was at the right time. It just was like out of nowhere, which is good. It's a wrestling match. Things should just happen out of nowhere. That's how people win things. And yeah, Matt had Phoenix on his shoulder. We give him like a tombstone or something, but Penta wriggled back round, got him into the over the shoulder position for that over the shoulder driver thing he did. Just give him a little kick, dumped onto his head. 1, 2, 3, and you win it. Phoenix won the match. I would say go and watch this match. It was amazing. There's nothing I can say can verbalize this match as good as it was to watch. Especially not now. I feel a bit tired today, which I'm going to keep labouring this fact over. But yeah, it was an amazing match. You need to watch it to see it. It's just one of them. We've also got to mention Pac on the outside during this match. He took one super kick, and from that super kick, he did probably the second best sell or the best sell on the show. No one can contort their body like Pac can do. It's like he has watched videos of people being smashed on the heads and then told to run around, and he's copying their reactions. It's like viscerally nasty at times. It really seems like shit. He's got a brain injury there. It's nasty as hell, but it works. It's really good. Maybe sometimes it's a little too much on the sell, but you know, it works. There's nothing to be annoyed at with that. It was a really good match, really good way to start the show. One of the two of the best teams in wrestling, involved in the first angle. You're always going to get something good there. Next up, we have the Mox and Eddie Kingston promo. So, one of the main threads, discourse I saw after Sunday's pay-per-view was that Tony Khan needs to get Eddie Kingston on the show with a live mic and he'll save the day. So, as the week developed, it turned out that we were going to get a promo from Mox and Kingston. I mean, I think we were going to get this anyway because it was a pretty big angle. Kingston turned face. We were going to get something, you know what I mean? So, did this save the angle? I'm going to say yeah. Big yes. Eddie Kingston totally saved his look at this. I mean, this promo was brilliant. This segment was brilliant. Everything about it was brilliant. Nothing seemed scripted. It seemed real as hell. It was just really good. It's like, so Eddie goes in and he's like, after the match, he basically blacked out. He had a panic attack and fainted. That's his explanation for why he laid on top of John at the end of the match and why he was selling it. He fainted. And there's a reason for that. He's saying that when he was lying on top of Moxley to protect him, he had a flashback back to being in jail and the guards taunting him about going to Riker Island and stuff like that, and he blacked out. And he's like, laugh at him all you want. He doesn't care. This is his issue. It's just something he deals with. He's got anxiety issues. Like, just awesome stuff. Eddie also said that Impact Wrestling created the bomb, which I laughed at. That was another great one. Very quickly, I want to mention a tweet. And it was very rarely I would do anything like this to mention a tweet, but I came across this tweet online and I just thought it was brilliant, right? I did not think of it this way at all. It's like, in this promo, right? I'll read it out. You see, it's like Smarkmouth says, "You're telling me Eddie Kingston made sense of a wrestling angle gone wrong and continues to normalize conversation about mental health." Yeah, that is exactly what he did. He saved what happened, and he used his prior traumas with mental health and stuff like that, which is all relatable to a lot of people, to save the day. A lot of people say Eddie Kingston's one of the best at speaking in wrestling. He's one of the best talkers, however you want to put it, one of the best characters. Absolutely. Because it's real. He fucking just seems so real. It's like when he says that story, I believe him. I believe he was probably in jail. I don't know if he was in jail or not. I really don't know. It was just fucking awesome. Then Mox after Eddie has his bit, there's a bit of interchange. Mox buries the shit out of Kenny's bomb. He says he didn't win the belt, but at least he won his drinking buddy back, which is really, really awesome. So, I mean, at this point, I was wondering, I was like, is this going to be like a quick thing for Eddie? Is he going to like be his friend for a couple of weeks, then turn on him or whatever? What's going to happen with it? But no, later on in the show, we do actually see that it seems that this is going to be a longer term change for Eddie's character, which can only be good. It looks like we're building up to a really nice sort of angle here. It's like a group of thugs versus a group of heels. This is wrestling. This is wrestling at its best. Thugs versus heels. Bruisers versus violent people. It's wrestling. It's not about being nice to each other. It's about fighting. It's about fighting for gold that is attached to leather. That's what wrestling is about. It's great. I loved it. After this promo, we were shown some clips from Revolution. Now, the way I just wanted to mention, I wouldn't normally mention these bits, but it was done really well. It's like, like after a pay-per-view, WWE will show you like clips from the pay-per-view, but they'll do it in that like single frame shot. So you're just seeing photographs, like a montage of photographs. Now, what AEW did with their one was, instead of just doing the slow motion photographs, they showed clips from the show, but they were like, the frame rate was cut down to like 5 or 10 frames a second, so everything looked like it was like photographs but stitched together and animated. I think it was a really nice look. I think there was parts of it where it looked a bit glitchy and it didn't work as well as it probably could have. Like, for instance, there was a few frames where you seen Orange Cassidy in it, and there was a visible glitch where he was turning but it caught him turning wrong. It was not perfect, but I really, really liked it. There was whilst that said, whilst I thought the edit and how it looked well, there was more production issues with when this was happening, and this annoyed me. It's like the commentators didn't seem to know when they were supposed to talk over this, if you get me. It's like, obviously the narration for this clip show was the commentators live dubbing over it, but it seemed like they didn't know when to speak, and then they started speaking halfway through the promo, and then the AEW theme tune, like, what they'll do is, like, the AEW theme tune is just played on a loop constantly, then they go in and out of it when they need to. And because it hadn't been restarted when they went into this, the song stopped halfway through the promo and had to get restarted. These are things that, as a media person, as someone that edits films together, as someone that's did this, like, got the papers and stuff like that, this sort of production things, they annoy me. These are the stuff that if I was sitting backstage there, people would be getting shouted at. I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, can you speak at the right time? Like, can we get the edits right? Things there. I don't know what's happening with it. I feel I hate burying on it. I hate burying on any company. I hate dissing any company, because when I do review, I like to review things in a positive way. I like to tell people things that they should be looking at, things to watch, things that will enrich their life. But on this part, as a reviewer, I've got to be fair. I've got to be honest, and I've got to say it how it is. This is a problem with AEW. Their production qualities slip at times, and I hope it can be fixed. I mean, they've been going for a lot longer than a year now. They should be able to get over these things. Some issues have been fixed, but others haven't. And really, it is just this sort of production-based stuff which is giving the company negative press. I was going to say giving them a bad name, but AEW do not have a bad name. They are a solid company. The content they produce is brilliant. I love watching it, but there are these small niggling things. And I mean, this is, as you can see, that it was one of these things that happened on Sunday night. Dud or not, it was a production issue that made the end of the pay-per-view look good. If it was me, I would have had 2 bombs set. I would have been like, right, well, we need to have a redundant system there. Maybe they couldn't afford it. I don't know. I wasn't there. You weren't there. I weren't there. We all weren't there. We could only speculate. But yeah, I'll get back to the point there. This was the only place where I really seen any noticeable production issues. There was a bit earlier when they went to Marvez through the back, and the mics took a few seconds to catch up with Marvez, which again, it's not the best. You could always just do the interview segments and before the show, then just cut to them. You know what I mean? They don't need to be live, and that might be a way to get for them to to get past these problems, to develop as a company and be better, you know? Next up on the show, let me have a quick sip of coffee. My throat. So yeah, next up in the match, as you can see right above me there. No, he's up there. I can never point to this. Why can I not point to the screen? What is wrong with my fingers? Yeah, Cody Rhodes versus Seth Gorgas. Now, I can't remember seeing Seth Gorgas before, but it says he's lost 2 matches on Dark, so he has been on Dark, but he's not been on the winning side of a match yet, so it doesn't bode well for Gorgas. Now, he looks like a really big lad. He looks like a strapping lad, but he's got brown wrestling boots on. I mean, really, come on, pal. Ditch the brown wrestling boots. Brown leather is for old man jackets, cowboy boots, and crap sofas. It's not for wrestling boots. Get a different colour wrestling boots, please. White or black? Or white and black. Just brown. Who wears brown shoes, man? Come on. Now, this, I do apologise. Other than that, every part of that man's physical being is something I am jealous of. He is a specimen, and I would love to look that way. This match was more or less a squash match. Cody won with the figure 4 in like 2 minutes. I don't think this match was about Cody winning anything. It was more about the promos after it. So, post-match, Tony Schiavone gets into the ring to interview Cody. He goes to ask him about his shoulder, but they get interrupted by Penta El Zero Miedo. Cielo, Miero. I just fucked up. I can't believe I just messed it up. And let's just move on. Continue with the review. So yeah, Penta Interrupts. Now, Penta appeared to have been on the Spanish announce team. I did not know this. Is Penta usually on the Spanish announce team, or was he a guest? This is something I don't know. But he was on the Spanish announce team. So, interestingly, Penta had Alex Abrantes, I've probably said that wrong, to act as his translator throughout this promo. Although in parts of it he did talk English, and Penta promos, Penta's amazing on the mic. I am so happy that they are letting him speak and do things like live in the mic and cut promos, because even in Spanish the guy's amazing. It's like, he is so good at cutting promos in Spanish that he cuts promos in Spanish, but you know exactly what he means. Like, how is that even possible? Like, he doesn't need to speak English. It blows my mind. He oozes charisma. It's like, he's got, like, when it comes to masked wrestlers, other than -1, who is on his own level of charisma, Penta is just, like, so good. So in his promo, which he had Abrantes translate for him, which, again, I really like this as well, he says that he's 1,000 times better than Cody, and if Cody is the Prince of Pro Wrestling, then Penta is the Lord of Lucha Libre. Awesome stuff. Really liked it. As I said, having Abrantes play interpreter for Penta was a really good idea, and he really pulled it off nicely. He seemed like a heel translator. So I don't know if this is why he's been doing this whole Dark Order stuff over the last few months on BTE. Has this been training him up for this or what? Who knows? But he really was convincing. I would gladly watch him as Penta and Phoenix's translator week on week. Without fail. Not a problem. He was great at it. Penta then tells Cody that he is going to beat him so bad that he won't be able to pick up his new daughter. And then it all broke down. I thought I had a picture of it there, but I don't. Everything broke down. Penta and Cody started fighting. All the undercard run out to separate him. Security run out to separate them. Everyone's piling in, separating them. It looks like we have one of the new feuds we have developing for the future is Cody versus Penta. There's no belt involved in this. There's no titles. There's nothing. It's just Cody and Penta, two men who apparently do not like each other. Yes, all about this. This can only be a good thing. This led into a backstage promo segment with Chuck T and Orange Cassidy. Now, the two of them were in an arcade, which I liked, because obviously the whole thing with Miro and Kip started with an arcade machine, so it's fitting that we're in an arcade. So, the long short of this is, Chucky T challenges Miro and Kip to one more match. Now, I felt the way he was asking for, can we get one more match, please? It was a bit beggy, you know what I mean? I wasn't really into that. I thought it was a bit no, please give me a match, sir. But whatever. Chuck says if he loses the match, he will be their butler for life. Okay. Calm down, Chuck. Like, what the hell? Now, apparently, Orange had an idea for the match they want with Miro and Kip. He says there's going to be lots of arcades, loads of arcade machines scattered around ringside, and that they're going to break Miro and Kip's heads through the machines, and then they're going to break them. Simple as that. The challenge has been made. Will Miro and Kip accept this, or will they not? I expect them to accept this. Now, as I said there, this is actually quite a good touch. At first I was like, an arcade machine feud? Like, what's this? But when you think about it, this feud started with an arcade machine getting broken. Pardon me. You got to remember that Miro and Kip were beaten up. Chucky T and Orange Cassidy and Trent broke their arcade machine. This is what started it all. So it looks like we're going to have some sort of arcade machine death match to finish it all. Let's hope they accept. I really hope they accept. It could be good. I mean, the last street fight that Chuck Taylor was in got a 5-star rating. That was the backlot brawl with Proud and Powerful and Chuck T and Trent. Nearly forgot his name there. So, I mean, that was one of the best street matches I've ever seen in my life. So this has potential. It could be good. Let's hope it is. Next up on the show, we had... Now, I actually thought we'd seen the last of these for at least a few weeks, but it's Sting. Sting's here. It's Sting! Tony's out there. He's going to speak to Sting. Sting is hyped. It was a great promo. The Stinger got the win, but I don't think the audience... You know what I mean? I don't know what I was meaning by that sentence. I think we could have did with a Sting-free week here, you know? Like, we've had these Sting promos every week for, like, the last, it feels like forever. It feels like every week on Dynamite we've had a little Sting segment like this. Now, do we need it? I think we could have did without this for a week. That's just me, right? Regardless, it happened and it was good. Sting's always good on TV. He's always charismatic. He's good with his words and he's a good-looking chap. So it's always good. Lance Archer and Jake Roberts came out. And, Lance Archer and Jake Roberts came out. Lance Archer tells Jake, if you're not going to give they tell Tony Schiavone, if they're not going to give us time, we will take time. So, I mean, it seems that Lance is somehow annoyed that he's not getting enough TV time. I mean, wasn't he in like a main event just last week or the week before? But I guess we'll just forget that for now. By the looks of things, he's came out, he's wanting TV time, but it also looks like he wants to fight Sting. Tony tells him to get stepping. Just says, look, this is Sting's time, get lost. You can get your own time later. Lance goes to leave, but he has the ominous message for him. And I think this is going to, I don't know. I thought it was a bit, like I said, I was like, did we really need Sting this? Did we really need this? I don't think we needed this. Lance goes. He tells him if he doesn't get what he wants, he's just going to take it. Jake called Sting a bystander for some reason. I've got no idea what that was about. Jake says some random things on the show. It's Jake. It's cool. It feels like Sting's next opponent is going to be the Murder Hawk Monster. Now, is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. I don't really have any feelings on this. I mean, the Murder Hawk, Lance Archer is really good, Sting's really good, but can I see these two in a match? I mean, if Sting's in a match with Lance Archer, that means Sting has to be thrown about quite a bit. Do I want to see that? I don't think I do. Like, I'm not sure if it's all very well to see Sting in a cinematic match with Cage and Starks and co. But Archer's a different kettle of fish. He's a stiff lad, and I don't know. I guess this is another one we're gonna have to wait and see where it goes. It's one of those reset weeks. This is just what happens. It's one of them, isn't it? It's one of them, mate. It's one of them. We quickly then go to a little backstage segment before the next match. We see QT Marshall and Shotty Lee Johnson, and they are speaking with Dasha. Dasha asks QT, What was up with him at Revolution when he left Dustin on his own and left all in a rage? If you didn't see it, during the Casino Battle Royal, QT Marshall eliminated fellow Nightmare Family team, the Gun Club. That's Austin and Colton Gunn, Billy Gunn's sons. A lot of guns and sons here. Dustin was annoyed with QT, so QT eliminated himself, spat at Dustin and flounced off like Pierce Morgan. So yeah, Dasha asks, what was up with that? Why did you do that? QT just says that, look, they will deal with this baggage later. We've got a match. Tonight is about Lee Johnston. It's like, okay. I mean, I do smell a turn. They've been teasing the QT Marshall turn for a few weeks now. It started with Lee Johnson dissing him, forgetting that he's his coach, giving everyone the thanks and the plaudits for his work, but not mentioning the people that actually helped him. So, I mean, I think that's where we're going with this. But regardless, we've got a match next before we get to any sort of QT Marshall, Lee Johnson action. And this match was, as you can see there, Ethan Page versus Shorty Lee Johnson. So, it's good to see Ethan Page. He is someone that before AEW, I'd only ever seen flashes of, and they've been really good. I am more than excited to see him in the AEW. I think he's exactly the sort of people AEW need to be going for. You know what I mean? They're young, they're at the top of their game, they've got a lot of miles left in them, and they've got a lot of stories to tell. Perfect. I think it's a perfect scoop for AEW. This was a fun match. There was nothing overly difficult to think about. It was just nice action, you know. Shorty Lee Johnson got a bit of a shine in the first minute, but then Page took control. Lee never really looked like he was out of the game, but it was clear he was not going to win the match. I mean, he's only won one match in the past, I think, maybe two. I can't remember if it's one or two. He's still learning the craft as Lee Johnson, but he's coming along very, very nicely. And he is a really good advertisement for QT Marshall and Dustin's training, even if QT Marshall is acting as if he doesn't like him. Going into the break, Johnson hit a dive on Ethan. However, Ethan fought back and turned it into a barrier-assisted twist backbreaker. It was really quite something. I've never seen that move before. It was quite a way to go into a backbreaker, but it did it. It worked. It looked good. It was good. This was a fun match. It made Shorty Lee Johnson look like a fiery good guy who has a lot of potential and a lot of learning left to do, but a lot of potential and a lot of, you know what I mean, there's a lot of road in front of him. And it looked, Page looked through the whole match like he was on another level. He didn't look like he was on the same level as Ethan. It was clear that he is the star. He is the more experienced person. The match went longer than I thought, though. It went longer than I thought, but it didn't feel too long, if that makes sense. There was a great spot during the match where Page randomly gave Johnson a scoop slam from the second rope. It's like, I've never seen that before. Why have I never seen someone give someone else just a body slam from the top or middle rope? It's such a simple move. I've never seen it happen. And it looked quite good. The finish came when Shorty Lee Johnson looked like he'd blown his knee out. And whilst he was staggered, Page hit him with a huge kick and threw him to the outside, where QT, he just looked at him. He just looked at him on the ground, but he wouldn't help him. He just looked like he didn't give a toss about Lee Johnson. Page got him back in the ring, hit his, I don't know if he said Dean, I don't know what Excalibur said, if it was Dino's Edge or something else, but he hit the Razor's Edge finish on Shorty Lee Johnson for the win. Post-match, Ethan Page started beating on Johnson, and QT Marshall did nothing to help the bastard. What a bastard. Dustin ran out to help Shorty Lee Johnson, and when Dustin came out, QT just turned his back on him, and as you can see on the picture above, he just started walking away, started walking ringside, like, screw you, Dustin, screw you, Shorty Lee Johnson, I'm gone. It's like, what's up, QT? I can't tell, I mean, I don't know if this is building to a QT versus Johnson feud, or a QT versus Dustin feud, or a QT versus everyone in the Nightmare Family feud. But there is definitely a QT Marshall turn happening at present. It is inevitable, just like fucking Thanos. So next up on the show, we had a nice little backstage segment with the Dark Order, with Adam Page and the Dark Order. So there, Alex Marvez is backstage and he's interviewing Paige. He wants to know what Paige spent his match winnings on. Now, Paige is sitting on a very nice ride-on lawnmower. And if there's one thing we know about Hangman Adam Page, is that he loves ride-on lawnmowers, basically. So one of the first things he did was to buy a new lawnmower, even though we know he's got quite a few lawnmowers now. I think this is the third lawnmower we have seen connected to Hangman Page in AEW. Okay, I mean, you might not get the lawnmower meme. I don't fully get it. It's a really old BTE type meme. Hangman likes ride-on lawnmowers. Now you know what, you can share it in the joke. I don't know what part of it's supposed to be funny, but it's a lawnmower, isn't it? I mean, come on. Who doesn't love a lawnmower? So he tells Marvez that he gave the money away, loads of good causes, and he bought a lawnmower. The Dark Order then appear, and everyone's like, "Yay, Dark Order, bros!" Everyone gets on everyone gets like ask if they can come on for a ride with them. Everyone gets on except for Alan Angels because there's a weight limit. Of course, he can't get on. The lawnmower drives away, almost tips up as it's driving away. 5 is left behind. Poor bugger. Poor 5. He's always left behind. And he does all the work, you know what I mean? He's the worker. He's the office worker of the Dark Order, and he gets shunned all the time. Wouldn't be surprised if he turns on them eventually. Also, an interesting observation in this segment. If you look at the shirt Hangman's wearing, he's wearing a purple shirt. Look, purple. Dark Order purple. He's in. I think it looks like Hangman is warming up to the Dark Order and warming up to the idea of being in the Dark Order. And I mean, if we look at this picture here, it very much looks like Hangman is in a throne with the Dark Order protecting him. That is a shot and a half. That picture there, I think, tells its own story about where this is going. And I like it. I hope that it stays obvious like this. I hope they go with the obvious choice of Hangman being the new leader of the Dark Order. It can only lead to good things. Next up, Tony Schiavone comes out to the stage again. And apparently Christian Cage is going to be speaking to Tony. Well, we thought this, but as Tony starts to introduce Christian Cage, 4 Kenny Omega broomstick girls come onto the stage and Kenny Omega's music starts playing. Tony is obviously not happy about being interrupted twice on this show, and you know what? I don't blame him. If I was getting interrupted constantly on this show, I would be pretty annoyed as well. So it looked like Kenny Omega was going to make an appearance tonight, and he did. Kenny, Callis, and the Good Brothers all come out. Callis cut one of his usual ranty heel manager promos. Everything he says happened was to plan, even the non-explosion. The explosion not heard around the world, he says. They all bury the shit out of the explosion. They just laugh at it. Basically, they just say that they done this deliberately to try and troll people. They're having a great time. And I mean, seriously, it needs to be mentioned here, right? The way AEW has absolutely owned this fuck up with the dud bomb and turned it into a story is actually quite commendable. I mean, other companies out there, and I'm not just in wrestling and all sorts of things, if this happened to them, they would just pretend it didn't happen and they would just move on. They would expect people to forget about it. They were just like, let's not apologise, let's not do nothing, let's just hope people forget and we'll try and top it. But no, what AEW have done is they've been like, right, we fucked up, it's our fuck up, we're owning this fuck up, we're going to use this for the future. And that's what they've done. They've turned this into a story in itself. They've used the story. They've used it for... There's so much levels they've added just to this one explosion bit. Like for Eddie Kingston in the explosion, it triggered mental health conditions. It triggered all sorts of horrible feelings. It made him feel ill, but at the same time it brought him back together with one of his old friends. There's just so much to it. It's really good. And like you've got the whole thing, the bad guys, they're like, ha, we dicked yous all over. And then you've got the good guys, like these guys are inept. It really works. That's really good storytelling. It all stems from a fuck up. It all stems from one of the flattest end moments we've ever seen in wrestling. Really outstanding. They've got to be commended for that. Don Callis is amazing. I like when I was writing it today, I kept writing Sirius for some, like, because I just kept remembering him as Sirius. He's amazing. I've always thought he's amazing. I'm never going to diss him as a manager. He says the ring not exploding. He says that by the ring not exploding, it made Kenny look like a star, and that it made Kingston and Mox look like a pair of idiots, and that he planned it. He planned this to be a win-win. He says when he was doing his MBA in business studies, he was taught about how to generate win-win situations, and he knew that Kenny winning the belt wasn't just that. That was just one win. He wanted 2 wins, so they won Kenny the belt and then rigged up this shit bomb so they looked stupid in the process. Like, amazing. Like, really, really good. Between Kingston, Moxley, and Callis, they have literally talked their way out of a huge embarrassing situation, and it's pretty amazing the way they did it. Kenny during this segment was hilarious. Like, he was hilarious. Like, he laughed about Eddie dry humping Moxley while a few sparklers went off. I lost it at that. I was laughing my ass off. Kingston then appeared on the stage, and he climbs in the ring, face to face with everyone, not giving a shit. Callis starts sucking. It seems like Callis starts sucking up to them, but then he flips and he tells Eddie that, like, oh yeah, I sacked you from Impact because whenever you were close to grabbing the brass ring, you messed it up, like at Revolution, when you lay there when a load of non-explosions happened. Callis then gives Kingston 10 seconds to leave the ring. As good as this was, as if Callis was not a complete dick, he then tells Eddie, I know you're not smart, so here's a timer. And on the Titantron, the big screen at the back, they turned the explosion count. They put the explosion counter back on the screen, and they started the siren again. Beep, beep. This was awesome. I thought it was hilarious. Kenny, they start mocking Kenny. Kenny lies down on the ground, and he's just like, Don, 69 me. And then Don's like lying on top of Kenny, like Eddie was, and they're doing the whole stuff. Like, it was just fucking awesome. It was so funny. Kenny then gets in Kingston's face, telling him, hit him, and then it all broke down. Kenny and Kingston starts fighting. The Good Brothers start fighting. It all breaks down. Everyone starts fighting. Moxley then runs out, starts fighting with everyone. So you got a big brawl. They're building towards some sort of Moxley, Kingston, Good Brothers thing. I think there's a match next week with Moxley and Kingston versus Good Brothers. Now everyone's out the ring. Well, everyone's out the ring except Kenny, who has been laid out by Kingston, who stuck him with a punch. That's what started the whole thing. Whilst Kenny's laid out, everyone's fighting ringside. The timer then comes back on the screen, but it's not the explosion timer, it's the Christian Cage coming out to sign his contract timer. And there we go. Christian's music walks out, as calm as he likes, and he comes out the ring. Walks as slow as he can, as cool as cucumber. Like, literally, is Christian Cage Orange Cassidy's dad? They do look very similar, don't they? No, he's not. He's not. I'm just saying that. That's a joke, by the way. So yeah, Christian Cage casually, coolly, collectedly walks through the ring, and he gets in Kenny's face. Kenny at first tries to get in his face, but then he's like, you know what? I'll shake hands. We'll be cool. He tries to be cool with him. Christian refuses. Kenny gets annoyed, goes to punch him, but Cage ducks a punch, twists him round into the unprettier. He's away to drop him with the unprettier, but Callis grabs Omega by the foot, drags him out the ring. Yes! Callis makes the save. It looks like we are going to be getting a Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega match in the future. Yes, please. This could be bloody amazing. Kenny Omega versus Christian's so much good experience. He's such a good wrestler. Someone like him up against Kenny Omega, this could be such a good match. Now, I'm going to use this little bit here because I want to mention something, right? We have got on the show Brian Cage, Christian Cage. We've got Hangman Page. No, sorry. Yeah, we've got Brian Cage, Christian Cage, Hangman Page, Diamond Dallas Page, Ethan Page. See where I'm going with this? There's a lot of Cages and Pages on this show. We maybe need some more surnames in AEW. Like, we need to diversify this gene pool here, you know? But it is what it is. It was a good segment, a really good segment, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Christian Cage and Kenny Omega in the future. Now, who's on screen? Maki Ito. Maki Ito was on the show. Who would have thunk it? The best way to explain this next segment is that we were warped to the DDT wrestling universe for a 6-women trio match. It's the only way I could explain the start of this match. So the Good Girl, this is a trios match, 3 women versus 3 women. The good team is Shida, Mizunami, and Thunder Rosa. The bad team is Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, and Maki Ito. No, so the good team are in the ring at the start. The bad girls, whatever way you want to put it, they'd make their entrance second. So the last to make their entrance is Maki Ito. Now, the world gets treated to her epic entrance. If you don't know who Maki Ito is or what the deal is with Maki Ito, before she was a wrestler, she was a Japanese pop idol, which is just like a pop music star in Japan. So she did that before she became a wrestler. She's adept at singing and dancing and entertaining. So singing and dancing is something she's pretty good at, and this is what her entrance consists of. She does a little mini Maki Ito pop concert. And like I said, this is like a DDT match. And I say this is like a DDT match because I'm pretty sure this is like the first time I saw Maki Ito. She starts doing her song, and then whilst she's doing her like pop concert on the stage, and she's like just doing it away, all the women in the match start beating each other up in the ring with weapons and all sorts, and it just all breaks down. It was just absolute chaos. It was glorious chaos, and it was hilarious. Like I say, it was very DDT. This is not a bad thing. I like DDT. It's very cool. During the beating, we see Vicky Guerrero beating up Shida with a cane. I was like, what the fuck? Too far. Like, come on, it's Vicky. She shouldn't be getting heat on the good guy, the top good guy. Yeah, but regardless, it was funny. I enjoyed this. It was chaos, and it probably gave Jim Cornette a mini stroke. So good things came from this. Shida tried to attack Maki Ito as she stopped singing, but but Maki Ito tried to hit her with the microphone. Right now, this was actually quite funny. Poor Maki, right? She clearly did not want to hurt Shida with a microphone. You know, you get that shot. I don't have a microphone here, where you get a microphone, you just like poof, you go, and the whole point is that you hear someone's head hitting the microphone through the arena, and it's like, oh my god, they've just been smacked in the head, sort of thing. Like, ugh. So like, you get the drift, right? That's what they were going for. But she was like, and she just did not want to hit her with the microphone, and it looked so bad. It just looked so bad. It looked like she did not want to hit her, and she was just, it did not look good. Thankfully, it was just leading into the match. It wasn't actually in the match. It'll be interesting to see how long Maki Ito stays in the United States. As the longer she does, and the longer she's on TV over here, the better she's going to get. I hope the same for Mizunami too, because I absolutely love Ryu Mizunami's style. The crowd were definitely into Maki Ito. Like, she is totally over already. She does not need to go over with the fans, at least in the AEW Daily's Place Arena. In this match, tag team matches, trios matches, this is absolutely the best way to introduce her and showcase her to AEW's fans. As while Maki Ito is super entertaining, she does have holes in her game that are easily exposed in singles matches, especially when they're on TV. But in tag matches, they can pick and choose what people see of her, you know what I mean? They can protect her, they can just have her in for a couple of minutes, out, and not expose her holes. And that sounded really, sorry, not exposing the holes in her wrestling game. Jesus Christ, that sounded bad. Fucking hell. Yeah. It's good that she's in this sort of matches, you know what I mean? This is the best sort of way to showcase her and get her in. And like I said, the more she wrestles on TV in this sort of situations, the better you're going to get. 'Cause it's the only way for people to get good at this sort of thing is to do it. So she's there. Let's hope she does it. Now, this was a really fun match, actually. Once the match actually got going into the proper match, it was fun. It was just a trios match. There was nothing overly special about it. There was one move that was just amazing, and it was from Thunder Rosa, who's one of my favourites at the moment. As the match got to its climax, we got one of these spots where everyone's put to the outside, and Thunder Rosa went to like hit a dive to the outside, but what she did was she hit something called a Cancun Tornado dive to the outside. And I don't think I have ever seen a move like this before. She got to the top rope and she's just like spinning. So she just does a standard press dive off of the top rope to the bundle of people on the outside. But she did it all with this strange twisty spin thing going on. I really liked it. I've never seen that before. It really worked. The finish came when Maki Ito and Rosa were going at it in the ring. Maki's trying to set Rosa up to get hit by Reba, but like with a bit of distraction, she had Vicky Guerrero come up into the apron at one side, and Reba came up with her cane on the other side. It all failed. It all backfired miserably, and Rosa hit Maki Ito with the jumpiest, tightest package pile driver kind of move I have ever seen. Like, she literally had her bundled up and then jumped into it. I was like, whoa! It looks so good. I hope Maki Ito wasn't hurt by it. It looked amazing. Post-match, Britt Baker got the better of Rosa, abused her for a bit, then put her in the lockjaw. The good team won, but the heels stood tall at the end. This was a good match. Again, it looks like we're getting a bit of gang warfare with the women's title and the women's picture at the moment. These sort of things are always entertaining, so I'm more than happy to see this. And yeah, there's a big match been set up for next week between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. They're going to have a lights out match, which means there's going to be no disqualifications, no rules. That's the main event in next week's Dynamite. That is going to be amazing. It's good to see a women's match headline the show, and it's going to be like just off the page mental, so I cannot wait for that. We got we then went to a quick Matt Hardy brand promo. So Matt Hardy's there speaking to Private Party. He says that it doesn't matter how much money Hangman's took from him. He's got safes full of money. He's got money for days. He's got plenty of money to last through to the 1st of April. So much money, in fact, that he's signed a new unit to the brand. The Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny all come walking in. So, like I said, if they're not with Eddie Kingston now, then that means that the family is no more. They're still bad guys. Eddie Kingston is clearly a good guy now. So yeah, the Butcher and the Blade come into the room. They all stare down Private Party and Hardy. Hardy thinks they'll be a great fit. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Now, my main hope from this is that we get a big money style update from the Butcher and the Blade. Of course, we've talked about the many styles of the Butcher in the past on this channel. So I really hope we get to see the Butcher wearing a suit and tie, or at least a casual sports jacket, the big money look. I mean, they're a big money mat now. They've got to look money. This led into I would say this was the main event match of the show. This match was outstanding. This was Scorpio Sky versus Darby Allin for the TNT title. So going into this, I had no idea what to expect. I mean, they've been teasing that Scorpio's going heel for the last couple of weeks/month. But I didn't know where this match would go, like as in finish. Scorp won the ladder match at the pay-per-view. Right, we won that big ladder match for a shot at this title, but it does not feel like it's time for Darby to drop the title yet, and that's kind of where we are. That AEW seems to be in the same sort of position. So the match started up all cordially enough. There was a fist bump by the two matches. It begins, and when they touched hands at the start, I did not, this blew me away. I thought Darby was quite a small, not small, but like a shorter lad. I did not realise he was taller than Scorpio Sky. It's like, that really, really surprised me, you know what I mean? This match was, I thought, best to sit and watch and enjoy and comment later, and I did that. It was awesome. This was just, I loved this match. The first 4 or 5 minutes was just wrestling. It was just like holds, exchanging holds, wrist locks, counters and stuff like that. Totally enjoyable. It was in the early portion of the match where Darby appeared to twist his ankle trying to jump over Scorp. Now, it was unclear if this was part of the story or if this was a legit injury, although Scorp did start working over him a bit and started targeting that, so it may have been an injury. He maybe just twisted it and said it's cool. It's really hard to tell with Darby Allin if he is injured or not, because he's the type of guy that would run for miles with one leg, you know what I mean? Like, a leg fall off. Oh, just a flesh wound. It's like, guy, your arms fell off. It's alright. I can still climb. He's that sort of dude, you know what I mean? He just keeps going. He's like, so it's hard to tell if he is actually injured or not. Scorpio looked great in this match. Just more Scorp, single Scorp, please. Scorp for days. It was good to see him in a tag team, but it's so much better to see him as a solo wrestler. And he just looked great in this. During the break, there was lots of stretching by Darby and Scorpio. They did loads of rest holds. It was a nice WWE commercial break. It was good. I liked it. The match was starting to look like Scorpio would be winning it. Darby looked broken, but never out of it. He looked to be in trouble, but that's his gimmick, innit? That's kind of Darby Allin's thing. He always looks like he's in trouble. He always looks like he's losing, but you cannot keep him down. He's just indestructible. There was some really good stuff in this match. Like, for instance, Darby does this thing, right, where he does this in most matches. He'll jump over someone with like a jumping shoulder roll, and then he'll like turn and hit his opponent with a missile drop kick into the corner. But they had the timing down, like the Scorp and Darby had their timing down so well that Darby did the jump over shoulder roll, and as soon as he popped up to his feet, bang, he got kicked. It was like the timing was perfect. It's like if this was a computer game, every move they did from like the last portion of this match would have been a critical. It was like timed just so good. And it blew me away. There was, what else was there? So there was the missile drop kick, but there was outstanding stuff. Like Scorpio gave Darby 3 German suplexes, but held on to them the whole time. Like suplex, rolled over suplex, and then he gave him a released German suplex into the top turnbuckle. I was like, oh my god, what the hell? The finish came when Scorp was on the outside. Darby went for his low pay, so like a tope but through the bottom and middle rope. This got countered again, more pinpoint accuracy, just amazing timing. Countered it into a cutter, like an RKO. Like, it couldn't believe it. It was really, really cool. And there was another one there as well. Oh yeah, that was it. Darby went for the coffin drop, and like as he went for the coffin drop, Scorpio just caught him, powerbombed him out of the coffin drop. Like, it was amazing. JR commented on that we have just seen 2 of the best counters ever in the last minute, and I would say, look, you need to make your time like 10 minutes, and we've actually seen 3 of the best counters in professional wrestling in this match. Just really good stuff. Scorp went for his finish. Darby managed to wriggle around, counter it for a roll up, and got the win. Darby Allin retains. Just one. Really good match. It was awesome. I really, really cannot wait for the rematch between these guys. So at the post match, Darby kind of went to shake hands. No, he was like trying to be cool with Scorpio. Scorpio kind of just ignores him, but when Darby turns his back, that's it. Scorpio goes after him, attacks him, puts him in a heel hook, tries to break his leg. The Scorpio heel turn has happened. He is a bad guy. We kind of expected it. They've been teasing this for a while, so it's good to see them pull the trigger on something. And again, it works. Darby's selling here was amazing. Like, the way I wrote this down is, it looked like when you see the way Darby was selling this on the ground, he's like, you see the whites of his eyes, he's like screaming with the whites of his eyes. It's like it's hard to describe, but he was like really selling with his face and his eyes. It was so cool. It's like proper, like the sort of stuff you see in real life if someone's in trouble, and you see that look in their eyes. Just had that. More of that like visceral selling. It's like the Pac stuff. It's very realistic, Roll on the rematch. So we get told for about next week's matches. Next week's show is called St. Patrick's Day Slam. So it's a St. Patrick's Day special. Yay! We are told that we will get Moxley and Kingston versus the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers. We will get Penta versus Cody Rhodes versus Penta El Zero Miedo. Jurassic Express and Bear County will take on. Now that is Jurassic Express with Marco and Bear Country versus the new Matt Hardy brand that is Matt Hardy, Private Party, Butcher and Blade with the Bunny, Jade Cargill, and Jade Cargill will be in action. So that'd be cool. And we are told that the main event for next week's, as I've already said, is Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. Now, when I first saw that, I was like, oh cool, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa main event. I didn't notice it said lights out match along the top. Then I went back and went, whoa, a lights out match. On Impact, I do that every week. On Dynamite, yes. Then we get to the main event segment of tonight's show. Now, when I realised that this was going to be the main event segment and we're closing the show, it was obvious that something was going to happen here. Something big was going to go down. So the Inner Circle all come out. Everyone comes out and they're having their little team powwow. Now, the whole Inner Circle's there. Obviously, Sammy's not there, but we'll get to that in a second. Jericho says that it's time to have a war council. We need to change our plans in the middle of a war, so we need to have a war council. Let's do this. Jericho then says that it might be time to add a new member to the Inner Circle. MJF interrupts though. MJF says that maybe we need to get rid of someone. And instantly we're all thinking, he's meaning Jericho, isn't he? Then boom, and then as they're talking, Sammy Guevara's music plays on the video, and Sammy Guevara comes out. Now, Jericho starts telling him he doesn't want to see him. You're dead to us, blah blah blah. And Sammy's like, look, Chris, we've teamed for a year since Dynamite started. You need to listen to this. I've got something to show you. Now, Sammy shows him a video that was taken earlier in the evening, right? So Sammy had been in the Inner Circle locker room, set up a hidden camera, and ran away. No one knew it was there. He was recording everything. So we're watching the video, and you can see in the video MJF planning to depose Chris Jericho as the leader of the Inner Circle. It looks like everyone is with MJF. It's like, oh shit. MJF then tells the boys to get Jericho and Sammy Guevara. And we're like, oh man, what's happening? And everyone just like, you can see it in the image above, Proud and Powerful and Jack Hager, they just slowly start walking towards him. As you can see, Ortiz, he's putting his glove on. But then they start going really slow, and I'm like, uh-oh, something cool's about to happen here. And then all of a sudden, they all turn around. The Inner Circle is back. Sammy is back in the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle are like, do you think we're so stupid? Do you think we don't talk to each other? Like, what the hell are you thinking? They knew it was going to happen. Like, they knew it. They were on top of it. I popped hard here. I'm just thinking about the segment again. I'm grinning like an idiot. It was just so well done. It was fantastic. Jericho fires MJF from the Inner Circle, pushes him over. MJF's pushed, he's into the corner, and they're all advancing on MJF. They're going to beat the shit out of him. And MJF's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I wasn't trying to take over the Inner Circle. I was trying to build my own faction. Then the lights went out. Everything goes dark. I'm like, oh shit, what's happening here? What is happening here? I literally did not know what to expect here. I was like, who are we going to get here? Like, what's happening here? I had no idea. Didn't know who to expect here. The lights go back on, and standing behind the Inner Circle, you have the FTR, you've got Tully, you've got Wardlow, you've got Shane Spears, you've got the Neo Horsemen, or whatever they want to call it is, gang warfare. The Inner Circle then get the shit beaten out of them. I don't know what this faction is going to be called. I would guess it's going to be a Horseman faction. I mean, it would be what? MJF, FTR, Tully. So I mean, it would be like the 5 horsemen, including Tully, the 6 horsemen. Unless Tully is a horseman, then it maybe is the 6 horsemen. And I don't know. I'm overthinking the horseman angle here, right? Gang warfare is the name of the game. Everyone gets the shit beaten out of them. Sammy gets curb stomped through a chair. Santana and Ortiz get handcuffed with their hands behind their back. This leads to the FTR both picking up both members of Proud and Powerful together, who are handcuffed. So they've both got them picked up for the corner pile driver. Tully jumps off. They get pile drivered. They're laid out, handcuffed and everything. Then they pick up Jericho. MJF punches him in the head with the dynamite ring. He's bust open. It's just all good. It's like the Inner Circle, Jericho, everyone. I don't know if this is like a face turn for the Inner Circle. I mean, the Inner Circle are, they're heels, but they're loved heels. We love them. We like the Inner Circle. They're one of they've been there since the start. They're one of our bros. But yeah, Jericho at the end, he's bleeding. He tries to get his bat. It's just the cinematography behind this bit was really good as well. Like this shot here, for instance, I've got on screen. Jericho's just reaching for his bat, but like the MJF just stands on his hand. They pick a bat up, throw it away. Jericho's just left beaten, bloody, bruised, everything. We go off the air. The Inner Circle is returned back to its original form. Sammy is back in the Inner Circle. You got Jericho and Sammy. That means the sex gods are back. Yes, but, and it's a big but, the Inner Circle was also left battered, bloody, and defeated by this New Horseman faction. Sorry, what exploding match? I can't remember what exploding match people are talking about, because this match was just full of stuff to talk about. This show was all sorts of good. I think that to sum up the show, it was light. I would say it was quite light on wrestling this week, but the wrestling that was there was really good. The way that they have took ownership of the explosion mess up from the pay-per-view and turned it into a story that is not just one-dimensional, but it's like literally like a 3 or 4 dimensional story, is outstanding. The way they took, like, other companies would just ignore that shit. We've seen it in the past, like for instance, like when Moxley, what was it he done again? He was fighting Bray Wyatt and he tried attacking with a video recorder that exploded or something stupid like that, or the maggots in the ring. Like, people are just expected to move on and forget about that stuff like it never happened. But the fact is, these things do happen. And you're insulting your fans' intelligence by pretending they didn't. And that is where AEW has excelled with this. They took ownership of that. And they turned that ship round. They really, really, really... It's quite commendable what they've done. So yeah, I think today it was a really good show this week. I really, really enjoyed it. I can only tell people, go and watch this week's show. It was great. If this is not an episode that you need to drink gin to enjoy more, like I thought, compared to last week's episode, so much better. Like this would have been this ironically would have been a better go home show into the pay-per-view than last week. Even though the Inner Circle got beaten up, it would have still been a better lead into the pay-per-view. Great show. I can't say anything else without just sounding like an idiot. So I'm going to wind this up here because that's me been going for about an hour now. I've managed to cut these down from an hour and a half to an hour and 10 minutes. I'm quite happy with that. For those that are watching on Twitch, thank you very much for sticking about. Thank you very much for coming and watching. For everyone watching this on YouTube later, again, thank you very much for coming and watching. Hope you stuck to this point. Please, if you're watching,